we have to consider this possibility. Okay, I said possibility, but it's a real possibility that Melania was introduced to Donald by Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe that's why we have this fierce resistance to find out what's going on. Well, back again, not to toot my horn or anything like that, but just to be really factual. Those of you who tune into this YouTube channel frequently know that I was the first person to start talking about certain questions on Trump's extremities, if you will. Turned out that he had red splotches all over his hand. We investigated that, and we concluded it could be something related to venereal disease or clap or whatever you want to call it. And now we're treated to the swollen ankles. When you look at the picture, his ankles are as big as his head. And of course, they came with, it's some little minor vein issue he has. Yeah, I'm buying that. But remember the thing that we reported first, and let me report it again because it's very important. You're not going to see this on cable TV. You're not going to see this in the columnists, anything. In January in the year 2017, Trump's physician was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Bornstein, who is unfortunately deceased now. He sent Keith Schiller and two goons into Dr. Bornstein's office to confiscate his medical records. Dr. Bornstein said he had felt like he was violated. So there was something in those medical records that they didn't want anybody to know. Why else would you send in goons to confiscate the medical records from your internists? The answer is pretty obvious. There's something in there that he didn't want any possibility of it getting out. And now we're treated to red splotches on his hand, we're treated to bloated ankles, and treated to more bullshit and not answers. And we're not asking, the question is, could the source of all of this be contained in his medical records from 8 years ago? I don't know, but we ask questions on here. The problem is there are a lot of questions. There's just no answers forthcoming. And so now we have the blow up of the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Of course, it's all hidden. He wants to cover it up. He's mad. And one of the key figures in the Trump Epstein story is a female by the name of Celinda Middlefort. Wait a minute, James, you're fucking crazy. Okay, there's no idea. Yes, this was one of the early people caught up in this Trump Epstein, whatever they had going. We only have suspicions, but we have pretty strong suspicions. And Miss Middlefort, it's the name, sorry, played a big role in this. And of course, Trump wants it to go away, screaming at people not to do it. And the right wing won't let it go away because you got to understand the whole pedophilia thing is part of their DNA. And they have been talking about this for years. And they don't know how to get off this hamster wheel. There's really no good way to get off this hamster wheel, to be honest with you. But it was obviously, we reported that Michael Wolff said he saw pictures taken from Jeffrey Epstein's safe by Jeffrey Epstein. This is what Michael Wolff says, that showed Epstein and Trump with young women, some who were topless, pointing to a stain on Donald Trump's britches. And I said, you maybe it was a coffee stain, but he doesn't drink coffee, so I don't know. All right, that's all. That Michael Wolff said that publicly. All right, those photos exist somewhere. It might still, they're in possession of the FBI for all I know. But I do know that's what Michael said. So there's an expression, and it's actually pretty accurate, that the revolution devours its own. It devours its young. Well, the pedophile revolution is devouring them. All right. And there is so much that we don't know. There's so much that we have to keep drawing attention to. You know, we tend to forget that Epstein pled guilty one time in Florida. His lawyers were Alan Dershowitz and Ken Starr. Yeah, you might have heard of it. Of course, I was the most anti-Ken Starr person in the establishment media. Oh, Judge Starr, he's a fine man. I mean, what are we doing here? You know, yeah. See all those co-eds that were raped at Baylor, what he did about it. You know, right? And he was a very moral man. You might want to look up what he did in his later life. They're great fucking assholes that ever lived. But so, and it was quite an arrangement that Mr. Epstein had made. And of course, this arrangement allowed him to continue predatory practices toward young females, ruin people's lives, God knows what not. It's a great documentary on one of the streaming channels about him and these women who come back and sued him, and David Boyce and a bunch of other lawyers involved. This man caused irreparable harm to God knows how many people, and I suspect that there's a lot more involvement by Donald John Trump than most people do. Before I close, I do want to comment on the Congress going along with the idea that we should not have public health for public radio or public television. They also don't think we should have public health to universities. They don't like universities. They particularly don't like teaching history or philosophy or anything like that. And the reason is really quite simple. Their coalition is reliant on stupidity. So if your base appeal is to stupid people, what you want are more stupid people. And the way that you get more stupid people is don't have colleges, don't have universities, don't have any media entity that tells you, you know, dude, the earth is not 5,000 years old. And by the way, it is round. All right. They don't want the public to know that bullshit. All right. So all of this is all tied into a giant Republican effort to produce as many stupid people as we possibly can. And it's not like we don't have enough stupidity in this country right now. In my opinion, we have way too much stupidity, but we're going to get more because they're doubling down on stupidity. So just remember Dr. Bornstein, the medical records, Miss Middlefort, don't forget her, don't forget Ken Starr, don't forget Epstein, don't forget all of the things that we're telling you about. And to the extent that these videos can maybe produce one or two fewer stupid people, and I guess it's worth it because, folks, the modern United States of America is doubling down on stupidity. So one of the reasons we have to consider this possibility, okay, I said possibility, but it's a real possibility, is that Melania was introduced to Donald by Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe that's why we have this fierce resistance to find out what's going on. I mean, as long as we don't have answers, we will have questions and we will ask these questions. And my question is, was Jeffrey Epstein instrumental in setting up Melania and Donald Trump? And but the question has to be asked. It has to be explored. And I'm not saying that is true, understand that. But what I am saying, a curious mind is going to draw this conclusion every time.